Stop waiting for permission. Why Black women must buy their own flowers. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today's conversation is rooted in wisdom shared with me by Lynnette Moore, a high school principal who has spent decades leading with firmness, compassion, and an unshakable commitment to her students and community. Lynette is the kind of woman who walks into a room and you immediately know she's got this. She's the kind of leader who holds entire schools together, who shows up for everyone, who prays through the pain and still finds a way to smile. She's built a legacy not just in hallways and classrooms, but in the hearts of young people who needed someone to believe in them when the world didn't. And in our conversation, she shared something so simple, so profound that it stopped me in my tracks. She said, sometimes you have to buy your own flowers, not wait for someone to notice, not hope for applause, not delay celebration until you've crossed some imaginary finish line. Just buy your own flowers. Honor yourself, choose yourself, celebrate yourself right now, exactly as you are. And I realize that's the message so many of us need to hear, especially Black women, especially those of us who've been taught that strength means silence, that leadership means sacrifice, and that self celebration is somehow selfish or arrogant. So today I want to unpack this idea of buying your own flowers, what it really means, why it matters, and how we can start doing it. Not someday, but today. Let's start here. You are worthy of your own flowers right now. Not when you've earned it, not when you've hit the goal, cleared the debt, healed the trauma, or finally gotten the recognition you deserve right now. This moment as you are. Self celebration is not arrogance, it is a necessary act of resistance and survival for Black professionals navigating systems that often overlook or under recognize our brilliance. Buying your own flowers means intentionally honoring your accomplishments, your growth, and your resilience, even when no one else is clapping yet. It means you stop waiting for external validation and you start giving yourself the credit, the grace, and the celebration you've been pouring into everyone else. Let me tell you about Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time. She wrote an essay in Vogue announcing her decision to step away from professional tennis. She didn't call it retirement, she called it evolution. And in that essay, she centered her own desires, her motherhood, her business ambitions, her well being. She effectively bought her own flowers by naming her legacy and choosing herself. For years, Serena faced race and sexist scrutiny, criticism of her body, her clothing, biased officiating, media narratives that tried to shrink her greatness. She navigated the tension between wanting to expand her family and the demands of elite level sport, knowing that women athletes, especially Black women, are often pressured to sacrifice personal life for performance. But instead of letting the media define her exit, she reclaimed the narrative. She wrote her own story in her own words. She honored her accomplishments and her new priorities openly. She positioned her decision as an act of agency, choosing her own timing, her own framing, her own celebration. And the impact was global. Women everywhere saw a script they could follow. You are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to honor your desires. You are allowed to celebrate yourself loudly, even while walking away. Serena's story is a living example of buying your own flowers in the face of criticism and expectation. She didn't wait for permission, she gave it to herself. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That's Serena Williams. She's a global icon. What about the rest of us? What about those of us leading quietly, working hard, showing up every day in spaces that don't celebrate us? Let me tell you about Dr. Tamara Wilds Lawson. She's a Black woman leader who was appointed director of the Higher Learning Program at the Mellon Foundation. Her journey reflects a pattern familiar to so many Black professionals. She navigated institutions where her expertise and identity were not always fully valued. She worked in academic and nonprofit environments where equity, racial justice, and the humanities were often underfunded or undervalued. She operated as a Black woman leader in predominantly white institutions, carrying the weight of representation and expectation. But she consistently positioned her work around equity, student success, and community impact, refusing to shrink her vision to fit institutional comfort. She pursued and accepted leadership opportunities that allowed her to center racial justice and structural change. And by moving to the Mellon Foundation, she stepped into a role that publicly recognized and celebrated her expertise. She bought her own flowers by choosing a platform that honors what she brings. Dr. Lawson's story shows us that you can move towards spaces that recognize and celebrate your work, not just tolerate it. Her trajectory is a form of professional self flower buying. She identified what she deserved, she sought it, and she accepted it without apology. That's self leadership. That's buying your own flowers. And then there are the Black women educators and principals, the ones like Lynnette Moore, who lead schools, love students, and labor in systems that often rely heavily on their strength but rarely celebrate them. The Education Trust report, Through Our Eyes, gathers the perspectives of Black women educators, highlighting how they lead, love, and labor within schools that depend on them but seldom honor them. These women face persistent under-recognition and undervaluing of their expertise and leadership. They carry the emotional and spiritual burden of supporting students of color while battling systemic racism, sexism, and inequity within schools. They navigate hostile or indifferent work environments where their advocacy for justice is seen as too much or too firm. But many Black women principals intentionally cultivate affirming practices: prayer, journaling, peer support circles, community engagement. They sustain themselves. They create school cultures that celebrate students and staff, often mirroring the celebration they wish they received. They define their leadership style on their own terms, firm, loving, and deeply invested in student success rather than conforming to stereotypes or expectations. Even when systems fail to provide flowers, these principles generate their own. They recognize their impact, they document their wins, they affirm their call to lead. Their leadership correlates with stronger relationships with students and families, higher expectations, and a deeper sense of belonging for Black and Brown students. This is buying your own flowers in real time. This is self affirmation and self sustaining practice in spaces that often neglect to celebrate them. So here's the second thing I want you to remember: pain can be a place of power when paired with prayer, reflection, and boundaries. Many Black women and Black professionals are taught to push through pain silently. We're taught that strength means endurance, that leadership means sacrifice, that vulnerability is weakness. But this conversation with Lynnette Moore reframes that narrative. Strength and prayer through the pain becomes a spiritual and emotional strategy. It's about acknowledging hurt, seeking support, and still choosing yourself in the process. It's not about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let the pain define you. It's about saying, I see this hurt, I feel this weight, and I'm still going to honor myself. I'm still going to celebrate myself. I'm still going to buy my own flowers. Prayer for many of us is the anchor. It's the quiet conversation with God that says, I can't do this alone. It's the moment of surrender that becomes a moment of strength. It's the practice of laying down the cape, the mask, the performance, and just being honest about what we're carrying. And in that honesty, we find power. We find permission to rest. We find the courage to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are gardens. They are the fences we build around our peace, our energy, our joy. They are the way we protect what we've planted in ourselves. And buying your own flowers means tending that garden, even when others don't understand it, even when others think you're being selfish, even when the world tells you to keep giving until there's nothing left. Which brings me to the third thing: self leadership is non negotiable. You must advocate for yourself in your career, relationships, and well being. As a high school principal and longtime administrator, Lynnette Moore embodies firm, grounded leadership, and that same firmness belongs in how you lead your own life. Buying your own flowers is a daily practice. It's setting standards for how you are treated. It's saying no when necessary. It's designing a life where you are not waiting on others to validate you. It's showing up for yourself the way you show up for everyone else. Self leadership means you stop outsourcing your worth. You stop waiting for the promotion, the recognition, the apology, the thank you. You start giving yourself credit. You start celebrating your wins, no matter how small. You start honoring your growth, your resilience, your survival. And here's the truth: the world is not going to celebrate you the way you deserve. The systems we navigate were not designed to see us, to honor us, to uplift us. So we have to do it ourselves. We have to buy our own flowers. We have to create our own rituals of recognition. We have to build our own altars of self celebration. So here's what I want you to do: I want you to create a self flower ritual for the next 30 days. Each day, write down one thing you are proud of, no matter how small. This could be surviving a difficult meeting, setting a boundary, or showing up for yourself. Once a week, physically buy yourself flowers or do a symbolic act of celebration. A solo coffee date, a quiet prayer walk, a favorite meal, specifically to honor those wins. Do not wait for external validation. Treat this as homework from your principal, a required assignment in self respect. The goal is to make self celebration a structured habit, not an occasional accident. Because here's what I know: you are worthy, you are enough, you are deserving of every flower, every celebration, every moment of joy. And you don't have to wait for someone else to give it to you, you can give it to yourself. Buying your own flowers is not selfish, it is sacred, it is survival, it is strength. It is the quiet rebellion of a woman who refuses to shrink, who refuses to wait, who refuses to apologize for taking up space and honoring herself. So I'm asking you today, right now, to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when you feel more deserving. Today, decide that you are going to stop waiting for permission to celebrate yourself. Decide that you are going to stop postponing joy until someone else validates it. Decide that you are going to buy your own flowers, tend your own garden, and honor your own journey, because the world needs you whole, not broken. The world needs you rested, not exhausted. The world needs you celebrated, not invisible. And if the world won't do it, then you will. Starting today, starting now, go ahead, buy your own flowers, celebrate yourself, choose yourself, honor yourself right now, exactly as you are. You've earned it, and you don't need anyone's permission.